the Major G. Dwivedi. Now, amidst all this political back and forth that takes place in the parliament, sir, and there have been continuous demands by the opposition leaders that the Prime Minister himself needs to speak. Is there really a requirement for the opposition to hold debates and discussions until and unless Prime Minister is present, or is this just another rule and a pretext for the opposition to attack the government?
Well, Megha, first and foremost, I think the political process will be on one end of the spectrum, and the national security, the ground situation is on the other spectrum. We as professionals do not generally, delve into the political process because that is how the democratic system works. But as professionals, we analyze the situation on the ground and then come out without fear and favor because we have no political leanings. For us, nation is always first, and therefore we talk from a heart and also from a head. The point is, I listened to what the Honorable Home Minister said, but the question is, today, it is 100 days. We have lost 152 innocent lives. 60,000 of our citizens are languishing in the relief camps in subhuman conditions. So obviously, the actions that have been taken has not delivered on the ground. That means that we need to relook at the whole issue differently. Please let me just make 2-3 quick points. Today, Manipur is fortified. It is armed to the teeth. There are about 4,000 arms which are with the both sides, one way or the other. And it is any time situation can take turns for the worse. There is a temporary lull. The unified or the headquarter is not effective. And obviously, there have been failure across the board, more at the state level, and we can't actually absolve the action of the center too little, too late. So therefore, I think time has come for the tough and a quick action, because otherwise situation will go out of hands. I recommend 3 important actions. One is current dispensation needs to have an immediate overhaul. Secondly, we need to redefine the roles of the security forces. Army must go and disarm these 4,000 armed people. The Assam Rifle must be in total support, and the local police must do the law and order. And third, very important is the borders, the China factor, and the cascading effect it will have on the other state. Today only, Mizoram is involved, but other states are very fragile, and this will have cascading effect. And last point, it gives a very poor image of our country in the global polity. We want to emerge as a global power, but this doesn't go well with our aspirations, Megha.
Okay. All right, fair enough. B.L. Vohra, in terms of the last point that was made by Major General G.G. Dwivedi, talking about how this showcases India in a bad light to the global community, there were also talks that were being made about an alleged conspiracy that may have been created to foment trouble in Manipur. Now, how do we tackle such a situation? Is it something that has happened? Has it been, orchestrated? Has it been made big? And for that matter, in Haryana as well, right before the G20 summit of the heads of the states that takes place in September?
China especially will be interested in creating more trouble. And it has been creating trouble in the past. See, if you go into the history of violence in Manipur, there were many insurgent groups of Maiteis in 1980s also. That was the first time I was sent there as a DIG. And in the mahallas of Imphal itself, there used to be firing. That was the situation, was very bad at that time. So I think it has to be taken care of, the China factor and the global image. But coming to the HM speech, you started with the speech of the Home Minister. I think every word of what he said is correct. But situation has changed, Megha. At that time, there was no social media. People in Delhi didn't know, except for the newspaper. There was no information as to what was happening. Today, the whole world knows. I mean, so the circumstances have changed. The aspirations of the people have changed considerably. They have taken the right steps, but unfortunately, those steps are not working so far. So much more oil has to be put into the machinery by various methods on the administrative side and the police side and the security side. And you know, buck stops always at the political desk. So these all have to be political decisions. And I think some more hard political decisions are needed. What these are, well, we are not politicians. We are not privy to the information that they have. And we generally, as General Dwivedi said, we are people, you know, in uniform. We are not used to talking about politics.
Yeah, but also the question, you know, while the Home Minister spoke about how there have been these 36,000 paramilitary forces that are acting as a buffer between these warring tribes and communities, there has really not been questions that have been answered by the government, by him, with regards to the incompetence of the local police, with regards to how did the weapons were brought into the hands of these, you know, these arsonists, these rioters. So
Megha, these questions have been answered indirectly by changing the DGP. Unfortunately, there was a kuki DGP there for 7 years in Manipur.
Yes.
So the country's problem is in each state, locals are appointed to the top key positions, which is wrong. After all, what for do you have All India services?
Right.
And there was division right in the middle in the administration and police between kukis and maitis. That created more problems. Even Assam Rifles had kuki and maitei officers there. So there are problems on that front. So those kukis and maitis who are favored, their community should be shunted out. Action should be taken.
Then another, you know, another big question about the allegations that were being made by the Kuki tribe against the Chief Minister of Manipur, Biren Singh, that he was in support of the Meitei community. Now, while I would not be somebody who has an expertise on the subject in terms of you know, the important things that have been happening in terms of the clash points, in terms of the points of collision between the Meiteis and the Kukis. The question again was raised by the opposition and continues to be raised, that why has Biren Singh not been asked to quit so far?
Because Biren Singh took action against the poppy cultivation.
Yes.
And illegal migrants who came from Myanmar, and they were indulging in poppy cultivation. 1,700 acres, you know, on 1,700 acres of land, poppy was destroyed. And he started biometrics measurements of those illegal people who had come, the Kukis, their kith and kin from across the border. So they were against. So this was the best thing to put it on him. I'm not saying that he's impartial, but this is a very strong reason to blame him that way. We had a Naga chief minister in Manipur for long. If you remember, there was a fellow called Rishang Keshing. He was member of the first Lok Sabha at the age of 25 and continued for many terms of Lok Sabha also. Died at the ripe age of about 95. And a very secular chief minister. Very secular chief minister. So I don't think generally chief ministers would be pro any community. After all, see, they're elected people, they work for the state. But labels too get stuck, and some actions which he took were wrong, like walking down to the Raj Bhavan to hand over his resignation, which his people tore it, you know.
I think it was a publicity gimmick that was created by the chief minister.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
Absolutely.
all right. Quickly getting in Major General Sudhakar ji at this point. Now, the question that I continue to ask is, has the state machinery failed in quelling the violence in Manipur? Do you think the actions that were taken were not taken from the start, from May 1st onwards, May 3rd onwards, when the incident started pouring in? Has these actions been delayed, which have caused the opposition to then take it as a tool to attack the government for its quote-unquote inefficiency?
Megha, good evening. Thank you for back-to-back sessions. Quite a few questions you have raised, very important ones, and very meaningful and substantive. First and foremost thing, we have been caught napping. Let's call spade a spade. No state, no border state or in the hinterland can ever be administered by not anticipating what is going to happen if things are from security imperatives, they are sensitive. Number two, the dynamics which are unfolding by the day in Myanmar has been totally ignored. For quite some time in mainstream channel, including NewsX, we have kept on harping that there is nothing, no external factor, it is maitei and kuki. Third thing, I have shown you the book through the camera many number of times. It will do good to the Indian citizens to understand there is much more than what meets the eye. I do not want to, by deliberate intention, I do not want to state those things. People should read this book. It will open up our eyes. What we are trying to discount are the main issues, why China has taken up trying to capitalize those issues against the government of India. Next point, it is not Manipur in isolation. It is India as a whole, which has been encircled by forces inimical, particularly China, by design. When I say by design, let's take our mind back to 3-4 days back. It was in the leading newspaper. It talked about United Front Work Department of the Politburo China. General Dibede will bear me out. He has been in China for an extended period. This department is meant for disinformation. It is meant for penetrating into the media houses and carrying out successful and effective influence operations, like one of the guys who has been apprehended yesterday and also has been investigated by the New York Times in their important columns. So although he has got Indian name, but virtually he's been bought by the Chinese money and he's carrying out very effective, successful.
Yeah, he's of a Sri Lankan descent. He's a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker and he's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur.
Megha.
Yeah.
Last point, Megha, if you allow me, please. Yes, I have been traveling. I just reached home half an hour back before your previous show started. So all I'm saying is there is a bigger game plan that we should be concerned about. It is not a spine. Mind you, Megha, what is happening in Thailand has got a direct bearing about the Act East policy getting nullified altogether. That trilateral highway of India, Myanmar and Thailand, which is around 1,700 odd kilometers. My friends, NDC batchmates have been telling me that 70% of the road is completed. But no, India will not get access into Southeast Asia, because if that happens, there will be an effective force to counterbalance China, which China is actually dreading today. And what is China wanting? China is wanting to have access into the Indian Ocean, which it is willy-nilly, more than the CPEC, along with the Pakistan. Actually, CMEC, he's been successful. There is another one that he's looking at. Why is he camping in Cambodia? Cambodia is because he's looking at the Kra Canal. Kra Canal we'll discuss whenever time permits separately. Right. But at the moment, to answer your question, Megha, we have failed the way we have anticipated the things. Number one, the state governance has utterly failed.
Okay.
It must be accountable.
Okay.
Number two,
All
the
right.
central government,
you made your point, sir. Quickly get in Dr. Rajesh Jauhri. Rajesh, we're talking about politics. There are also geopolitics involved over here. There's also geostrategy. We've also come to talk about the porous borders. Does it come as a surprise to you that our borders along Manipur and Mizoram and other northeastern states have continued to be porous, even as we witness more and more of this infiltration, insurgency and arms trade, and we talk about drug smuggling that is on an increasing trend in these places. And and should there be political will to allow for borders to be sealed over here? There have been statements that have been coming forth from the Home Ministers talking about how biometrics have been increased of all these infiltrators, of all these immigrants coming in from Myanmar. But what more can be done?
Megha, first of all, I would say that it was a complete intelligence failure. because there were no intelligence inputs what General Vohra has said, what General Sudhakar ji and General Dwivedi have said. Because if the government, both central and the state government, if they had previous inputs about such influence of foreign powers, then they could have taken some action. And second thing, what I would like to, why? Because I have passed my 12th class from Northeast, and from my birth to up to 12th class, I was in Northeast, and I have lived almost in every state. So what I have seen insurgency starting taking roots in Assam, and I had seen in my childhood days that the weapons, deadly weapons like AK-47s were there, and deadly pistols, Chinese pistols and foreign pistols were there in Manipur and Golden Triangle, which General Sudhakar ji and General Dwivedi will agree with me, because there is an area called Golden Triangle, which is a free zone, which is, but there is no control of any government over that area, and that area is the hub. That is a hub, that is a nursery for all the activities of such activities. And what General Vohra has recently said that Chief Minister acted against opium cultivators. That was the main issue behind all this. And last thing I would like to say, the weapons which the people were having in their hands, we have seen on YouTube channels, on news channels, AK-47s and deadly weapons, they have not come suddenly to the that region. They have come over a period of time. And the last thing which I would like to say, that when Atal Bihari Vajpayee became Prime Minister, he had a vision. He started Look East policy. And for 10 years after his rule, 10 years, that Look East policy was stalled. And again, this government started Look East policy. But before that, the policy was Forget East. And this is the biggest reason for every negative thing that has happened in Northeast. And one more thing I would like to be, whenever I go to any college, or because we are not considering Northeast as the mainstream land. We are not, we don't recognize them as our brothers and our sisters.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Last thing, one thing.
Quickly, sir, before I wrap this up, yeah.
So whenever I go to any school or college and I ask the names of Northeastern states and their capitals, nobody, even teachers are not able to tell. This is, we are disowning them. So we will have to change our mentality, change our mindset, and then only.
And that's been a very visible effort from the government of India for an Act East policy in coming out with these projects and programs and schemes. Connectivity, last mile connectivity is something that has been worked upon, not just spoken about, but also implemented on the ground. Fair enough. Also, Dr. Rajesh Jauhri, quickly a word from you about whether the no confidence motion is against the NDA, or is it really to test the strength of the opposition alliance India that has been created. Mind you, in the Rajya Sabha, it was the RLD, it was Kapil Sibal who supports Samajwadi Party, and it was JDS who abstained from voting.
Megha, I fully agree with Mr. Nambiar that actually it is not a no confidence motion. As we can understand from the facts and figures of the parliament of today or yesterday, it was actually, basically, I think it was aimed at uniting the opposition and creating conditions so that the government must respond, and PM has to respond, PM has to give a statement, and after all, take this is parliament, all the activities and all sessions of parliament are seen by the people across the world. So the matter goes to, it becomes, everybody becomes aware of it. So, but what I have analyzed from today's and from yesterday's deliberations by various MPs and now and today's home ministers, that I think opposition has given Home Minister a chance to showcase his government's efforts. Now, using this issue, he Mr. Shah was able to highlight each and every move that they had
Okay.
done, and
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, okay, fine. But quickly,
I think
I'll
he got
quickly
a
get Major General Sudhakar ji, you know, a last word with you. Now, understanding, is it, you know, being a citizen of our country and watching what is happening in the parliament, in both the houses, and the past 3 weeks that have now finally going to be completed on Friday, should the question then arises whether it is of futility to have these budget sessions and monsoon sessions and winter sessions of the parliament?
Megha, good evening. Thank you. I'm quite cautious of the fact that the time is ending in this session. It's 8 p.m. At the cost of reputation, let me show once again through the camera to all our viewers. This is a book everyone must read to find an answer to the current problem of Manipur. This I have shown earlier. Mr. Nambiar will bear me out.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that it's too serious an issue to be handled in this manner. As a military man, I personally feel that I am not supposed to comment on issues which are political in nature, but the issue per se is not political. It's a national security challenge. It's not Manipur in isolation. It's an international conspiracy. This book gives out such issues which I am afraid I will not be able to share with the viewers through your channel, because my name will be misquoted, because the same issues are being contested by very eminent personalities. So that is one part. Secondly, keeping in view the time that you have given me, I personally feel there should have been an all-party meeting much ahead of time. I would say about 2 months back, immediately after the incident took place. Number two, there should have been, first of all, how to contain the situation, bring peace and harmony. And third and most important point, in any such kind of security breach taking place anywhere in the country, ultimate analysis of any debate, whether it is firstly, no confidence motion was redundant. It was not required. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money of the exchequer. People must be asked questions as to why have they done this. They should be asked to actually be accountable to all this. In my opinion, they should have actually held some kind of an all-party meeting and found out following things. First, how to prevent a recurrence of a similar situation in future, number one. Number two, the answer would have taken us a quick, the short term, the mid term, and the long term. It's a border state.
Okay. Okay.
We know that Myanmar has fallen out of place.
Fair enough. Fair enough. While this political bickering continues,